This podcast is proud to be part of the talkSPORT Fan Network. talkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Styles with a save. To the second here. A classic counter-attack, and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's Wood. 1-0 Forest.
To the goal! Has made an even bigger difference there! Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield!
I am delighted to be joined by Craig. So, Craig, thank you so much for coming on. Much appreciated. How are you doing?
My pleasure. Yeah, very, very well, mate. Very, very well. And looking forward to another cracking week of action in the Premier League. And it has been a fantastic ride this season for AFC Bournemouth.
I was going to say, yeah, it's been all coming up Millhouse for Bournemouth, really, isn't it? I mean, we'll start
Yes.
we'll start with last week, though. Actually, I mean, mean to ask you this as soon as when Adam says that we're sort of planning to get you back on, obviously friend of the pod and all that. He said that. How are you feeling about last week? Because I suppose on the one hand, you went 2-0 up, then it was 2-2, then it was 3-2 Bournemouth, then 3-3, then they missed a sit in the last minute that could have made it 4-3, and you could have left with nothing. How did you sort of feel? A bit of a whirlwind of emotions, I'm sure, after that one.
It's a complete jumble of emotions, like you say. 2-0 up, absolutely fantastic, to take that early lead. Krupi has shown exactly what he can do in front of goal, and why he has been linked as the next Mbappe. I don't think he probably gets to that sort of level, but to be honest, to even be mentioned in the same sentence as Mbappe means something. Second half, Mateta just does what Mateta does, and Crystal Palace are a very, very, very good side. I've got to be honest, they are a very good side under Oliver Glasner. We knew that the game wasn't up at 2-0 up. We knew that Palace were going to come back at us, and lo and behold, they did. We went 3-2 up. Fantastic. Goal by Ryan Christie, and this is where the mixture of emotions comes in. So, was it a penalty? Now, personally, I think there was a little bit of clocking up. And Marcus Senesi, earlier on in the match, made a tackle which he could well have easily gone for. The view was the player was moving away from the goal, and also that there was a covering defender. That was what the referee said. So we felt like we got away a little bit with one there. However, the penalty on its own, if it was just taken on its own, I don't think it was a penalty. I think it was six of one, half a dozen of another. I don't think that was a penalty. As soon as that man steps up, you know where it's going. And yeah, we breathed a sigh of relief when he decided to sky it, which could have made it 4-3. If Mateta did that on purpose, if he did a Palio Di Canio, if you remember when he caught the ball against Everton all those years ago, if Mateta was doing that, he's a gent. Thank you very much. Because I was, for a moment, my heart pretty much stopped. So yeah, that's what last week was like. But like I say, take nothing away from Palace. They're a very, very good side. And yeah, it's getting back to home comforts against yourself this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we've Bournemouth could cherry pick, no pun intended, a club to play. I'm sure it probably could be Nottingham Forest, but obviously, looking at this season, it's been. I mean, you have to sort of tip your hat, really. I mean, Iraola's once again ramped up the quality. It looks like the ability of the team's got stronger, and that's despite losing several key players, especially in defensive areas. I don't think there's many teams in the Premier League that could lose 4/5 of their back line and then replace them pretty much seamlessly and kick on again. How have you been slightly surprised at how well you sort of kicked on, and despite all the upheaval, or were you sort of quietly confident that this could actually still be a possibility?
I was worried about the players that we lost.
Mm.
However, Iriola is a very, very, very intelligent manager. And what he's done is he's given Tiago Pinto and Simon Francis, Simon's a legend at this football club, no doubt a requirement of the sort of player he wants. Milosakovic might, the name that might not mean anything to Nottingham Forest fans. He's a young centre back and he's been bought in. And in his first match, he was solid. He was absolutely solid. Now, don't get me wrong, Diakite and Celesi are playing ahead of him,
Mm.
mainly because of their experience. But I've no doubt when he comes in and deputises, there is no concern. And the Serbian, honestly, could well be, will he get to the Dean Howson levels? Potentially. You found another beauty of a signing. So he's very, very good and one to look out for in the future. Adrian Traffair, though, I'm pretty sure that most Forest fans, definitely most Bournemouth fans, had never heard of Adrian Traffair before he signed for the football club. And again, he's a player that has stepped into Milos Kerkez's shoes and made the difference. And this is what Iriola seems to do. He's no doubt it is Tiago Pinto and Simon Francis who's going out and bringing the players, and Iriola is spending more time on the training field with them. It seems to be the modern way. Gone are the days of Brian Clough, inviting Dean Saunders into his house and asking if he likes flowers. Gone are those days. It is now more the days of we go and get the players that you want with the remit that you suggest and bring them in. But Iriola has bought players on so much. Antoine Semenyo, for example, before he joined AFC Bournemouth, I turned around and I said to everybody, I said, he blows hot and cold at Bristol City. He's come here and he's been the most consistent he's ever been at this football club. And it's because of Iriola. It's because of the style of play. It's what he expects. The intensity levels have gone up. The fitness levels have gone up. So I know that's a bit of a long way to answer your question, but I'm not really surprised by Iriola up in the game again. He knows what Bill Foley wants. To actually finish in just the same position as last season isn't what Iriola's about. He wants progression, and without a shadow of a doubt, he's going to get it this season. I have absolutely zero doubt that we'll be playing in Europe, considering how we're playing at this moment in time.
No, definitely. I mean, you weren't even far off last year. I think you were about 6-7 points behind us. I think at the end of the season.
Yeah, not
Something
far.
like that. It wasn't that long to go. Yeah, but I mean, I think the testament to Iriola really is that the players he's had, in that back line. I mean, the goalkeeper went to Arsenal, the left back went to Liverpool, and the two centre halves went to Real Madrid and PSG. I mean, if that's not a sign of a manager like growing players substantially, I don't really know what is. But no, it's absolutely remarkable. I mean, it feels like very similar. I know obviously you sort of pair together quite a bit the Brighton sort of side of things, but it almost feels like the Bournemouth way is actually more effective in some manners because I mean, obviously there's a manager there that's probably eclipses everything Brighton have had, really. I think Iriola. I mean, we'll look forward to obviously Sunday's game, Sunday 2:00 game. Obviously, last year was not one to write home about from a Forest perspective.
It was for us.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. But I mean, what is it about Forest that Bournemouth just consistently seem to get? I mean, I went to the home game last season, first game of the season, a game that Forest were mostly in control of, and then right at the end, a shank clearance that wouldn't have happened a few game weeks down the line because out of rustiness, falls straight into your lap, and Bournemouth fans are singing it's happened again. Why is it that Bournemouth just seem to have our numbers so consistently?
I remember that first game, we had Semenyo playing up front because Dominic Solanke was just being sold to Spurs as well.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. It seems like we are your bogey team. You know, our bogey team is Brentford. For some reason, we can't beat them. Love nor money. You know, they just come here. They could be as shite as they have been. You know, the early stages of the season, they come down for a cup game. Oh, they've beaten us. What a surprise. So yeah, we get that feeling, and that, you know, how you guys feel when coming down to Dean Court. I'm not really sure. I think there is a little bit of a nice rivalry between the two clubs. You know, it's not a nasty rivalry, but there's nice rivalry that's formed between the two clubs. I think that, you know, our style is very, very difficult for Forest to combat. And again, it seems to be, you know, because that season, you know, under Gary O'Neill, you know, when we come up to your place, you really did, you know, you probably deserved to win that game,
Mm.
in all honesty. But at the same time, you know, we seem to get the result against you. I'm not really sure. Not really sure. I think we're just a bogey side. Last season, you know, we had all the injuries in the world. We put Dango Watara. Don't worry, Forest fans. He
Gone now.
is at Brentford now.
Yeah.
But there's enough people that could score a hat trick. Remember, we've still got Semenyo. And yeah, he played out of his skin. Just played out of his skin. Um, but then again, you showed that you are still a good side under Nuno Espirito Santo, because you went and beat Brighton 7-0 the following week.
Yeah, that's a weird turn of events, that. Yeah.
But I didn't, to be honest, I was probably surprised at the scoreline. I wasn't surprised that you beat them, because you are
Mm.
a good side, or you were a good side that season. And I think Nuno had you playing in the right style. It's just our high press. It's hard for some teams to cope with. Maybe that is the difference. Hey, it'll all spin one day. And I'm sure at that point you'll be rubbing our faces in it. Everything good comes to an end. I know it's not good for you guys, but you know, no doubt it will probably spin at some point.
I mean, I suppose from your perspective and going into from looking at a Forest angle, how are you? Are you slightly annoyed that Postecoglou's gone before this weekend? Are you, obviously now Sean Dyche is in? Obviously, last night sort of showed a bit of return to that solidity that Nuno obviously brought with that last season. How are you sort of feeling? 'Cause it's very interesting. We had a Chelsea fan on who's a close mate of mine, and he was like praying that Ange was still in the dugout for that game. Now, obviously, he's not. Do you think that makes your task difficult, or a bit? How are you sort of looking seeing it?
I'm not concerned in the slightest. And I tell you why. I think Marinakis has shot Nottingham Forest in the foot. In fact, never in a million years would I put you anywhere near the relegation zone this year. I think there is a danger that Forest will go down, and it's not because of Nuno Espirito Santo. It's not because of Ange Postecoglou, and it won't be because of Sean Dyche. It will be because of the chairman. And I would not be surprised that the fans, you know, turn on Marinakis at some point in the future. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, when he sacked Chris Hughton at the start of that promotion season, remember we were the last team to actually, I think we were the last team to actually beat you at the City Ground before Hughton was sacked. That made sense because Forest should never have been in that position. However, this doesn't make any sense in the slightest. It makes no sense in the slightest. You've gone from a manager that plays one style of football, you know, and that style of football worked for the side. You brought in Ange Postecoglou, who is a bit of a just throw everything at the kitchen sink here. To be fair, at Spurs last season, he left too many gaps at the back. What happened? Yeah, Spurs got into trouble. Don't get me wrong, I really like Ange Postecoglou as a man, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, I like many people, you know, in the world, and not many of them are going to be very good football managers. I can tell you that. So, Ange Postecoglou, completely the wrong man for the job. And now Marinakis, in his infinite wisdom, has brought in somebody who is uber defensive. Now, don't get me wrong, Forest have got a very, very good defence. However, I am concerned for you guys now, because when we played Everton, and we were the last team that Sean Dyche come up against before he was sacked as Everton manager. He got sacked a couple of days before a Peterborough Cup game, but the last game
Yeah.
was against Bournemouth. And I tell you what, we could be playing that game to this very day, and Everton would not have scored a goal against us. And it wasn't because we were playing really well and we were defending really well. It was because Dyche was, playing this really low block, just allowing us to pass in front of them. And we managed, they were tough to break through, but we managed to pick through Everton's back line eventually. And he's gone from what is a very, very good manager in Nuno to a manager that just attacks and is like a headless chicken, to a man that just sits back, akin to Scott Parker when he was here. And we know what Scott Parker did, when we went up to Liverpool and we got battered 9-0. So I worry for you guys. And like I say, it's not down to any of those three managers. It will be down to Marinakis. He's not getting a like-for-like manager. The guy's gone absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing outside views about the Forest situation, because obviously we're not a particularly conventional football club, it seems. It's going to be very, I mean, I personally think we'll be fine. I think had we kept Andrew, we'd be in much more danger of going down. In fact, I think we probably would have gone down if Andrew stayed. But I do think we'll have enough quality to sort of pull away with what's in the league personally. But obviously, I could stand to be corrected there. It's interesting. I'm also very aware that Dyche's end at Everton was atrocious. It's one of the things that they concern me about is disappointment. But are you not slightly concerned about a new manager bounce or anything like that? Or are you just pretty confident it'll be done? Yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all. If you had bought in somebody else, if you had bought in a Graham Potter or somebody of that sort, I would have been like, new manager could be a little bit concerning. But Sean Dyche, I have no doubt what he's going to do is he's going to come to Dean Court and he's going to do exactly what he did with Everton, which didn't work. And it's just going to fall flat on its face. Okay, he did have some success against us when he was Burnley manager. But that's a long time ago. It's a very different team. It's a different style of football. We was more on the wings. We're under Eddie Howe, very, very fast-paced football. But it was what you would say was traditional football under Eddie Howe. Just very, very knowledgeable. Eddie Howe would outthink a manager. And Sean Dyche had some luck against him with this high press. I'm pretty sure Sean Dyche is probably scratching his head and thinking, what the hell do we do to stop Bournemouth this weekend? And I've said it before, I hope you guys don't go down. I have got a soft spot for Nottingham Forest. Went to university up there. Got to say, I love Hooters. You spent too much money in there as a youngster. I'm 40 years old now, so I can say that. But I hope you guys don't go down. But I worry that Marinakis is just continuously shooting you in the foot. And can he really? If I've got a question for you, actually, if you don't mind, Christian.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
If Sean Dyche does not work, and if he gets to the end of 6-7 games, and he's got a record similar to what Ange Postecoglou had, what do you do at that point? Do you sack Sean Dyche, or do you have to stick with somebody now?
I mean, going by last night, obviously beating Porto, he's already won up on Ange, who's actually won a game of football.
Yeah, true.
So that immediately makes him better and buys him some time. I think it's interesting because yesterday you mentioned a high press. The only time there was about a 10-15 minute period in the second half yesterday where Forest did look a bit, we can't get out here. We're struggling to get out. We're just banging balls long and sort of hoping to sort of, because they pushed way up, like about a good 5-10 yards higher up the pitch second half, Porto, and it did cause us problems. But we did eventually manage to sort of weather the storm and find the way through. Whether we can do that against Bournemouth doesn't matter, because I think Bournemouth will play a lot quicker than Porto did. But in regards to your question, I think that it honestly depends. I mean, going by who we've got, we've got Leeds, we've got Graz. If he wins those games, then you sort of you're buying time then anyway. Obviously, if we lose to Leeds, that's going to be a bit of maybe we are in big trouble here. But we'll have to see. For all we know, we could go in. No one expects anything out of Sunday anyway, because it's of a bogey nature. But if we go and beat Man United next week, for example, it's sort of like, okay, well, see how it goes. But I think going by what we saw last night and the solidity shown, the defensive organisation shown, the way the crowd responded, the way that the players responded, I'd be very surprised if we were in that situation again after 7 games, personally. Yeah. And it always felt doomed from the start. There was never any connection. There was never any, you could tell, you call him a headless chicken, it's probably being polite. It was pretty obvious we weren't doing any training at all on set pieces. Last night was already a marked improvement. I know we conceded from one technically because got ruled out, but that was the only, you didn't look stand panics in the stands going, they're going to score from this. You thought, okay, actually, no, they've earned a bit of rope here. Let's see what they can do. So I would be surprised if we were in that situation personally. If push, let's say hypothetically we were in that situation, well, I don't know. What do you do? Do you again? It's like spokes on a wheel, isn't it? Like Game of Thrones. Like, what do you do? I think we probably would stick just because of his sort of nature of and his reputation of getting teams out the mire. I think we'll probably go, okay, look, we probably won't get a safer pair of hands. Let's give it a bit longer. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to that.
He's never been relegated. He's never been relegated. No. There is that.
So we'll have to see. I personally, I think we're still quite optimistic about the appointment. So we'll go from there. But I don't think he's had a team as good as the one he's got now. He didn't really have it. He didn't have the quality at Everton that he has now. Definitely didn't have it at Burnley. So, we'll see. The players seem like they're buying into it, going by last night's performance. So that's all we can hope for. They definitely want revenge. But going back to Saturday, what sort of team? Sorry, Sunday. I keep forgetting Saturday. What team are you expecting Bournemouth to field on Sunday?
To be honest, I think we'll probably go with a similar sort of formation as we have played. I'll give you what I think would work against Nottingham Forest and a Sean Dyche team, because of course it'll be Sean Dyche's first Premier League match. So just trying to piece it all together. So I think the back line will be, of course, Jordi Petrovic in goal. He's been absolutely outstanding, the goalkeeper. We'll probably go with Adrian Traffer on the left-hand side. In the centre, we're going to be looking at Senesi and Diakite. Diakite has been very, very good since he's come in. Not the biggest defender, not the tallest defender, but he reads the game so well. And Adam Smith is back from an injury, so I think we'll probably pick him above Adrian Traffer or James Hill. Just look, he's that steady head.
Yeah.
In a slightly more defensive position, I think you've got to look at Tyler Adams and Ryan Christie. Tyler has been absolutely outstanding all season. Ryan Christie come back from injury, of course, got that goal against Palace. Played very, very well for the Scottish national team, so he'll be good. I think he's good to go. What I think will probably change a little bit, and this is what I would probably do, is I would put Antoine Semenyo on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I put Justin Kluivert, and I'd probably drop Marcus Tavernier. Marcus Tavernier normally plays on the right-hand side, so put Justin Kluivert there, and I'd probably put in Lewis Cook. And why I do that is just to control that midfield that Dyche will probably rely on. if we can snuff out that midfield, and Lewis Cook's very, very good at doing that, I think that might be the key to getting a very decent win against Forest this weekend. And then I'd play Krupi up front. So that's what I would go with. That's my starting 11. So I'd probably make, of course, Adam Smith back from injury. I think that's a no-brainer. But I think that change, bringing in Lewis Cook, just to shore up that midfield, make sure that's really, really solid. I think that's going to. I think that should hopefully unlock the doors.
And a score prediction from yourself, Craig?
I'm going to say what I said on our preview, and you're not probably going to like me for this. But knowing the manager that we're coming up against, and that Forest are a little bit all over the place at the moment, it's a good result against Porto, without a shadow of a doubt. However, I would take that just with a pinch of salt because the bread and butter is the Premier League. Porto aren't what they used to be. I would say that if they were put into the Premier League, just for an example, I think they probably struggle. I reckon it's going to be a 3-0 win to Bournemouth. Of course, you can't seem to win here either. So, yeah, I'm going to be biased. I'm not going to bet against my own team, but honestly, I just don't think Sean Dyche is going to get any luck here. So, yeah, apologies, Forest fans, but yeah, I'm just saying it as it is.
All right, obviously you got to take your Clarkson as your own club. It's got to be done. I completely respect it. Don't worry about
exactly, mate. Exactly. How about yourself?
Prediction wise, oh god, I think we're going to draw. I think it'll probably be an ugly draw, and you'll probably be on your review be bemoaning how we've come into town and sort of ruined your day basically, and you've got a 1-1 or something, like against a runner play or something. But I think that we aren't going to be a soft touch we were on the range, and I think a lot of people sort of basing sort of things around that. So it'll be, but as you said, Dyche has struggled against Iriola recently, so we'll have to see. But before you go, obviously, anything up Cherries Hall Apartments, anything you want to plug before we wish you farewell?
Yes, so we have done our Dean Court social, which is our preview. So do go check that out as well. We do all sorts of shows with different fans from different clubs throughout the season, but we do a lot of celebrities as well. So do go check out our celebrity interviews on there as well. Plus, if you are interested in AFC Bournemouth, you'll be able to also find, some player interviews, some staff interviews, and there's going to be some good up and coming stuff. So, yeah, even though there's a bit of banter, I've got a lot of respect for Forest. So, fingers crossed for the rest of the season, you'll be all right, and you'll pull it together. But yeah, Marinakis hasn't made it, in my honest opinion, hasn't made it easy for yourself. And there will be a video going up giving my personal thoughts on Marinakis. So I'm probably going to be banned from the City grounds.
Depends what you say.
Yeah, exactly.
As we all know, there's the easy way, the hard way, and the Forest way, and I think we wouldn't have it any other way. But Craig, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on, and yeah, all the best. Stop this weekend.
Yep, thank you so much.
Cheers.